task was successful because my thumbs were still pretty close to the bowl, and I managed to keep them close to my palms. This is what made me successful in this task. Yes, this task was successful. The challenges were not being able to use my thumbs because it made it harder to grip the apple and also control the knife while cutting. But to help adapt myself to complete this task, I held the apple using my fingers and my palms for stability and focused on making slow, careful cuts to keep the apple from moving. As you can see in the video, I use my opposite hand to help press down on the knife and create more stability while cutting the apple. This task was not successful. The challenges were not being able to use my thumbs because it made it very difficult to grip and control the deck of cards. The cards kept slipping and it was hard to split the deck properly. But to adapt and try to complete the task, I used my fingers and palms to hold the cards and shuffled more slowly. It was still difficult to keep the cards together and complete the shuffle properly. This task was not successful. The challenges were clipping the necklace because it was one of the most time-consuming and difficult tasks for me. The clasp is very small and it normally requires the thumb to pinch and control both parts of the clasp. So without using my thumbs, it was extremely hard to hold the necklace steady, open the clasp, and also line it up with a small ring. The necklace kept slipping from my fingers, which made the task very frustrating and slow. To try and adapt to this task, I used my other fingers and the sides of my hands to hold the clasp and guide the hook onto the ring. I also attempted to move slowly and position the necklace carefully, but even with these adaptations, it was difficult to control the small pieces and successfully clip the necklace. This task was successful, but it took longer than normal. The challenges were buttoning the jacket because it was difficult without using my thumbs, since buttons usually require a strong pinch to push them through the buttonhole. I adapted to complete this task by using my other fingers to hold and guide the button through the hole and moved slower to keep control. I also held the fabric tighter to make it easier to push the buttons through. This helped me complete the task even though it took longer. This task was not a success. The challenges were tying my hair because it was very difficult without using my thumbs. It was also hard to hold the hair tightly and wrap the hair tie properly. My hair kept slipping out of my fingers and I couldn't get a good grip to pull it tight. It also started to hurt while trying to tie it because I had to pull it in awkward ways. I tried to adapt to complete this task by using my other fingers and the palms of my hands to hold my hair and stretch the tie around it. However, it was still difficult to control the hair and the elastic, so my hair ended up messy and I was not able to tie it properly. This task was successful. It felt awkward and weird at first, but I managed to adapt by moving slowly and focused on keeping my balance. This task was successful. The challenges were typing without using my thumbs because it made it slower and harder to reach certain keys, but I adapted to complete this task by using my other fingers to press the keys. This task was a success. There were very few challenges and I did not need to make any major adaptations. This task was partially successful. The challenges were removing and placing lids on containers because it was difficult without using my thumbs. Many lids required twisting or pinching to get a proper grip, and without my thumbs it was harder to apply enough pressure. I adapted by using my fingers and the palms of my hands to grip the lids and turn them slower to avoid slipping. This task was successful. The challenges were picking up and grasping objects because it was harder without using my thumbs. Without it, the objects were harder to hold securely and could slip from my hands. But I adapted by using my other fingers and the palms of my hands to trap the objects and hold them carefully. I also also moved slower and focused on keeping the objects balanced so they wouldn't fall. This task was not successful. The challenges were stacking the objects because it was difficult without using my thumbs. It was harder to grip and place the pieces carefully. Without a strong grip, the objects were harder to control and align. I adapted to complete this task by using my other fingers and the palms of my hands to place the objects slowly and carefully. However, it was difficult to keep them steady and the tower eventually fell. Without using my thumbs, it was hard to grip and control the sweep properly. The broom kept slipping in my hands, and it was difficult to apply enough pressure to move the dirt. I tried to adapt by holding the broom using my fingers and the palms of my hands, and moved it slower to keep control. It was still difficult to maintain a strong grip, which made sweeping the floor ineffective. Holding a cup and pouring water into it was a success. The challenges were, without using my thumbs, it was harder to grip and control the cups. The grip felt less stable, and it was more difficult to pour the water steadily without it spilling. I used my fingers and palms to support the cups, and I held them with both hands. Drinking water from a cup was a success because holding the cup securely without my thumbs made it less stable when bringing it to my mouth, but I supported the cup by using my fingers and palms and lifted it slowly to keep it steady. Using a spoon to transfer water from one cup to another was partially successful. Holding and controlling the spoon without my thumbs was difficult, and it made it harder to scoop and transfer the water, but I held the spoon with my fingers, moved it slowly between cups to reduce spilling, though it took more time than usual. Using a paper clip to join sheets of paper together was a success. Without using my thumbs, it was harder to open the paper clip and guide it through the sheets of paper. But I adapted by using my fingers to slowly open the paper clip, and I pressed the papers down on the table to keep them steady. This task was partially successful. The task was very time-consuming and difficult. Without using my thumbs, it was hard to control the scissors and guide them smoothly around the paper. It was also difficult to hold and rotate the paper at the same time, which made it harder to cut, even at heart. I tried to cut very slowly and used my other fingers to control the scissors. I also had to use my mouth to help hold the scissors in place. This task was a success. The challenges were that without using my thumbs, it was harder to make sharp folds and hold the paper in place while folding, but I adapted to complete this task by using the sides of my fingers, and I pressed the folds against the table to create sharper creases before I flagged the plane. This was not a success because the airplane did not fly far and curved backwards like a boomerang. This task was a success, but it was difficult. Without using my thumbs, it was harder to grip the pencil and control my writing. However, I held the pen with my other fingers and wrote slower to keep it steady. For this task, I chose to put my contact lenses in. It was a success, but it took a long time. The challenges were putting my contacts in without using my thumbs was very difficult because the lenses are very small and require precise control. It was hard to hold the lens steady and keep my eye open at the same time. This made the process very slow and tedious. I used my other fingers to hold the contact lens and carefully pull my eyelid open. I moved slowly and tried multiple times until I was eventually able to place the lenses in my eyes.